today, I'm back again on some zombies. Haven't been able to get BL1. I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna try and get some other stuff. I might get World at War as well. Just, because I want to try and switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna play Newtown. I know it's an awful map, but I tried playing Mob. Actually, never mind. We'll play Fam. Why not? I used to love this map when I was younger, so yeah, today's video I wanted to talk about why it's necessary to be alone or have periods of being alone, and why it's necessary for you as a person. So obviously in a lot of these videos I talk about my experience, which is how I find it best to articulate like points and stuff. So I'm gonna keep doing that. And also I want to say thank you so much for all the love and appreciation I got on my first video ever. I mean on the one just before this. It's honestly amazing to see that people chime in and listen and put their own 2 cents in the comments. I don't know, it's just super cool. It's super cool to see how people are, and see how people are, what they go through, and just to know a bit of their story, a bit of their backstory, and how what I've said has helped them. It's so cool. Honestly, it's just so cool. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for all the love and appreciation on that vid. Thank you so much. Anyway, enough of the glazing on the guys. Yeah, I also checked it. It's just 100% males watching this YouTube channel, and I thought that was hilarious. I thought I'd just share that, but that's real. It's real as fuck. First off, I don't think there's obviously this is quite a common point, but it's not a twisted line, but it's kind of a hard line to read between being alone and loneliness. So I want to talk about that first, and then I'm going to talk about how being alone can benefit you as a person in the long run. When you're alone, you can focus on things that will benefit you. It allows you to visualize things that you think, right, well, I need to change this, I want to do that. I think it allows you to, being alone kind of lets you be in your head in a good way. It lets you pattern out things that you think, right, this needs to change, I want to do this, and how I can maybe do something differently to benefit me, or someone around me that is there, who's present in my life. It could be family, significant other, whatever. So I think it's important to have those periods of being alone, because it allows you to lock in, basically. The best way to describe it is, because this is the way I do it. It lets me in my head, I visualize things that need to change. I start to really hone in and see okay, this needs to change, I need to do this differently, I need to understand how this works. Basically it gives you time to learn. Being alone, maybe it lets you learn a new skill. You want to learn how to, I don't know, play chess. You want to learn how to play, I don't know, a new game. You want to learn how to skate. You want to learn how to make music. You want to learn how to make videos like this. This is how, that's how I started doing this. It develops skills of independence. It develops skills of you being less reliant on other people, which will heavily benefit you in the future, depending on what you want to do in your future. With things I'd definitely more creative things, I think that's a huge benefit. Well, I'm saying that because I'm a creative person, so I know that it benefits that. Yeah, so it gives you more chance to really think about, okay, I could do this. Basically, it forces you to take the time out of the day to think about what needs to change, why I need to change it, who could help me change it, and that's just one part of being by yourself. That's just one part. There's so many parts that benefit you. It also allowed me to better myself mentally. And you may be thinking that's quite contradictory, being alone. How did that help you? Me personally, I like my solitude, you know what I mean? I like to have my time alone. But I suppose I'll talk about the loneliness side of it, because it goes into this point. But I ended up doing it too much. and it kind of ate me up for a long time. The loneliness ate me up, definitely, because I was alone a lot of the time. I had friends, don't get me wrong, I had friends, but I just wanted to be by myself, and it ate me up. You know, it really started to take a hold on my soul. And I used to just think, well, I'll just be alone forever, you know. Easier to be alone because then you've got less issues, you got less problems, you know, you've got less people to worry about. It's just me, which in turn is just, for one, it's not selfish. It's not particularly bro, I can't talk and play games. I think I've realised that doing this YouTube thing. It's not selfish to do that, because when you're in that thought process, it's you're not doing it to be selfish. It's not out of, you know, it's not out of malice. It's out of pity for yourself, and it's out of self, like, grief. You know, you think, oh, it's so much easier to be alone, so I don't have to, you know, bother other people with my problems. And you think, oh, that'll make life easier. It will not. It makes it 10 times harder. I'm not saying all the time, because it's definitely not all the time that you want to be alone. Human interaction is necessary, and I had to realise that. And that took me a long time to realise, because a lot of the time, like I said, a lot of the time I just like to be alone. You know, I'd like to just be in my room and do my own thing and do whatever. I like going out, you know, I like being with my friends and doing stuff from time to time, but majority of the time I'd rather just be at home. Oh, I might be finished. Oh my god, the clutch. But yeah, a lot of that loneliness kind of turned into, it's like self-pity. You become pitiful of yourself. Like, there's a lot of self-hatred that builds up to yourself, because it's easier. You know, like I've said in the previous video, it's easier to hate yourself for the things that you do. It's all a learning curve, but it's easier to keep your head down, because it's a lot more effort to pick your head up. I allowed it to consume me, I didn't moderate it. And I think that's a good thing to learn, is to learn how to moderate how much time you spend alone, and how much loneliness, well, not loneliness, but how much alone time you have. Because if you are just continuously by yourself all the time, it does become a factor of negativity. Because a lot of people who don't have that, like, it's not an innate ability, but like the ability to be alone, aka, you know, extroverted people, or just anyone in general, you know, loneliness doesn't discriminate, you know, will end up swallowing you. If you allow yourself to view it as a negative factor in your life. If you start to think, oh, I have no friends, you know, no one wants to be friends with me, no one cares about me, etc., etc. And those things are horrible, you know, those things are awful things to think and to feel. My box look is shit. Because I've been there. You know, I've been there and I've felt like that. What the hell is my box look, man? And I've been there, you know, I've thought those things. I've thought that, you know, I had no one. Loneliness, it basically pulls like a shroud over your eyes. You become blind to all the people who care. You become blind to all the love in your life, because it's, how would I describe it? It's you know, it's loneliness is like an enchanted mistress. It's like a witch. to put it in some sort of way. At the start, it's such like it's like, oh, like, I can do what I want. You know, it's so easy to do whatever you want, and you know, you can do anything. But once it's there, and once it lingers, you know, once you leave the cut, and don't let it, and you know, you keep picking at it, and you don't let it heal. You don't put anything on it. You don't help it. You don't, you know, put a bandage over it. It's gonna get infected. It's gonna start to hurt. You know, it's gonna start to sting real bad. You know, that cut will start running deep, and it won't ever heal. So you really have to moderate how much time spent alone you have, and how you let it control, like, the certain aspects of your mental state. Because I know for me personally, you know, I spent a lot of time alone when I was younger. I still do, but now I know how to, like, not moderate it, but like I know how to view it in a better light. I know how to not place it into a negative mind space. I'm being so for real right now. Every time I record videos and get the box, my luck is so abysmal. It is egregiously bad. You know, it swallows you. Swallows your whole. And it will not spit you back out if you don't allow it to. If you don't, you know, push the jaws open of it, it will not spit you back out. And I know it's hard for some people, because some people may struggle to make friends, or they may struggle to talk to people, or struggle in like social situations or whatever, which is kind of like a different factor, and it's kind of a little bit out of my realm of knowledge, because I can't say I struggle with people, because I don't. This is making me miserable. But don't, you know, don't dwell on it. I know it's so much easier for me to say it, and I understand, like, if you're just thinking, well, this guy is just saying it, you know, he doesn't know a single thing about it, which is fine, you can think that, but I have had my experiences with it. But regardless, don't allow it to get a firm grip on your day-to-day life, because there are so many more benefits out of being alone than being lonely, and because it's a very easy way to just clump them together, but they are not the same. To me, once I realised that I'm, you know, I may be alone, but I'm not lonely, is when I think I truly realised, like, the potential of things that I could do and what I could have done with the time that I used. You know, when I was younger, I had a lot of time, probably a bit too much time, to just sit and be lonely. But that's because I let it control. I let it control that. I let it control that I was lonely. Yeah, I let it control the fact that I was lonely. It became a controlling factor over me. It wasn't me in control anymore. It was my own, you know, mental challenger. To me, there's always a fight. You know, there's a never-ending war in your brain, and not one side will ever win, because it's a war that'll never be won, in my opinion. Like, I know there'll be people out there just being like, yeah, I'm always happy, you know, I'm always, you know, there's nothing never makes me sad, and I'm just, I sit and just think, well, how can that be true? You know, how can that be true? Because no one's ever 100% every day. You know, no one's ever happy 100% every day. And you know, it's a lot of, honestly, I talked about it in my first video, but it's a lot of stuff on the internet. It's just a load of lies. There's a lot of bullshit. It's easy to lie about it and put on a smiley face, you know, on the internet and get views. Just be like, here's my day today, you know, happy life, you know, 100% always happy. It's not real. You know, these people live out, they live outside of the sense of reality within their own mind, because it's easier to be like, no, everything, like, you know, everything's always happy, you know. Not everyone's always happy. Everyone has at least a down day. Everyone has a day when they're alone and they have to sit with their thoughts, and then, you know, they might truly realise, well, I'm not actually 100% happy, and that's okay, because no one ever will be. No one will ever be 100% happy. And it's easy to say, oh, I am. It's a load of shit, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that to be some sort of fucking Debbie Downer, because in my opinion, it's true. You know, it's so much easier to put on a front, especially on the internet, to be like, me and my perfect life and I'm always happy. No, you're not. No, you are not. You have challenges every day that put you down in a mental state of, you know, do I want to do this tomorrow? Do I really want to You know, do I really want to try again tomorrow? Do I really want to get out of bed tomorrow? You know, don't look at that and think, oh, I'm so alone and lonely because this person has everything perfect and they have a bunch of friends and they have a, you know, they have a full family and all this and that. Like, that shouldn't be a deciding factor in your life as if you want to be happy. It shouldn't be someone else online. You should appreciate the time alone. You should look at it as a blessing. You should look at it as a benefit to your life, you know. And when I started doing that, when I started to realize that being alone is a benefit to my life, I became so much more full on the inside. You know, I became so much more fulfilled in my life. I started to feel more comfortable being alone. I started to feel a lot more fuller and happy, you know, with the time that I was spending alone. I was like, well, now that I'm alone, I can do this. You know, I can crack on with this. I can get this done. I can get this, you know, piece of work done. I can try and get some money doing this. You know, try and achieve something with this time alone because I haven't got distractions. You know, maybe beside your phone or whatever, but that's about discipline. But I want to leave that for another video as well. But now that, you know, I had this time alone and I didn't view it in a light of negativity, I achieved so much more with my life. I achieved so much more. It lets you learn you. It lets you learn how you want to be you. It lets, you know, you learn the ins and outs of yourself and how you function, and how sustainable you are by yourself, and that you don't have to rely on other people. And it's honestly a strong suit to have. It's a huge strong suit to have. It's not something to be ashamed of as well. Definitely not. In it, you know, that being alone becomes independence. You know, those two words sound massively different. You know, people would say being alone is a negative, but independence is a positive. So which one do you want that? You know, which one do you want that to be? Which one do you want that deciding factor to be in your life? Do you want it to be, do you want it to be the controller, or do you want to be the one in control of it? Because I know for certain independence is the one where you're in control of it, and being alone is the controller. Or loneliness, sorry. Yeah, also another thing. It's a little bit different. The stuff people put on the internet about like romanticizing loneliness. It's fucking stupid, man. I feel like a lot of these people haven't had a day in their life when they've actually sat down, been with themselves and realised, like, I ain't got no one. I ain't got a soul to care about me. But you know, I mean, I know how it feels to be lonely in a room full of fucking people. You know, I mean, I've been there, I've done that. And it's such a emptying feeling, you know, to feel alone in a room full of people. But then you've also got to see it from the standpoint of, why do I feel alone in this room full of people? Does it boil down to that I don't actually match with these people? You know, my lifestyle, my person doesn't fit with these people's goals. Do I lack compatibility with them, basically? Are they living the life I want to lead? You know, there's a lot of deciding factors in that, you know. I kind of realised, like, when I used to feel that way, it was because I was hanging out with the wrong people. I was hanging out with the incorrect crowd of people, or couple people, or whatever, you know. I wasn't hanging around people who had the same life goals, or they didn't seem to want to achieve, you know. And this was when I started to realise, like, my purpose. And I did actually make a video on purpose. It was like the second video I've ever made, but I'm gonna remake it because there was a lot of issues with it. I would go home and then I would feel better by myself, and I'd think, well, why do I feel like that? Really, it was just because these people weren't fit for me. These people didn't line up with the things I cared about. These people didn't line up with the goals that I wanted to achieve in my life, you know. These people didn't have ambition. or a drive for anything. And even back then, I didn't have too much drive for shit, but I knew I wanted to be something. I knew I wanted to be someone in my life, you know, and I still do. Like, I still want to be something. I want to be someone, and I suppose that's why I'm doing this, like, as a little side project and that, because it allows, like, one of the things that I've always wanted is, like, for someone to listen or to hear or see something that I'm doing and be like, yeah, that's real, you know, that relate to it. And that's what I've always wanted. Or for people to just, like, really be invested, like, in something that I do. So I think it's cool. It's just so cool to have people be like that. Like, I don't know. I'm getting off topic again, but honestly, these videos, I just do them on the fly. I never structure them. I just sit down with a topic on the dot, or like that's been on the top of my head for a while, and just talk about it. Don't take loneliness, you know, don't take it at face value as a negative. Don't take it as a deciding factor of, you know, who you are. You know, you might think, well, because I'm lonely, no one likes me, no one wants to be friends with me. You know, you might just have some difficulties in life, and that's fine. You know, it's okay to be imperfect. You should achieve to be imperfect. You know, you shouldn't achieve to be perfect, because then you will be miserable. Perfection is a misery, you know. Perfection's not a fucking thing to look forward to. Because once you're perfect, then what else is there to try and achieve? There's nothing. So don't try and be perfect for other people. Don't say to them, don't think, I ain't got any friends, like that makes me, not as good, or is it? Or, oh God, that is so don't think, that's a ruling factor of your life, because it's not. It's far from it. But yeah, view it, look at it, allow yourself to, like, open up about it to yourself, and think, well, I'm alone, and now I have this time on my hands to figure out who I am, figure out who I want to be, the things that I like, the things that I want to do in my life, the things that I want to achieve, the things that I seek out to change within myself. There's all those things that you can do. There's so much for you to do as well. There's so much for you to learn. View it as a learning curve, and it's a hard one. It's a real hard learning curve. Oh my God, this is it. But it's a real hard learning curve to learn. It's a real hard one to understand, because it's a painful one. It's one that really, it sinks deep. It might stay there for a while. For me, it did. It ate me up for a long time. But that doesn't mean it has to, control your life. It's not a controlling factor. It's just a factor of how you, how can you adapt to it, and how can you change. Don't allow your alone time to evolve into loneliness. View it as a benefit to you. View it as a learning factor, as a learning curve, as time to change. You've been blessed with this time to be alone. Allow it as a, allow it in. Allow it into your life. Allow it to change you. Allow it to, let you realize what you like, what you want to do with your life, how you want to change, what type of person you want to be. There's so many things that you can do to achieve to be a greater person, and I think this is an absolute stepping stone for one of those. A lot of the great people I know spent some very painful time alone, but that forced them to become a stronger willed and more independent person, less dependent on other people, less dependent on what they know or how they operate, not to copy them, not to become a carbon copy of someone else. It's a blessing in a deep disguise, and it can either go one way or the other. You can either see it as, I'm so alone, no one cares, no one, whatever, or it can be as, I'm so alone, no one cares, no one really cares, and I can do what I want, and I can become who I want, I can be who I want. don't get me wrong, you do need time around people. You do need time around people. It's such an important factor, because without the people around you, you wouldn't be who you are. But without your time alone, you would definitely not be who you are. I think, you know, being alone, it's just a little bit of a step above being around people to figure out who you are, because, you know, you're forced to look at the man in the mirror. You're forced to look at the, you know, the ugly reflection of the man in the mirror. It's a hard, you know, it's a hard watch. It's a real painful watch. It hurts to look at. You know, I know I've definitely been there. Used to be days where I was just like, man, I just didn't want to look at myself, look in the mirror, you know, metaphorically. You know, you're trying to kill off the man in the mirror, you know what I'm saying? I know that's kind of deep to say, but it's true. You know, if you let that loneliness swallow you, you know, if you let it absorb you, that's what you start to think, and that's how it is, you know. Thing is, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything on this channel, because what's the point? Then it won't be real. It won't be so raw that, you know, I want it to resonate with people. I want it to cut deep, because there's so much more potential within you as a human than you realize. You know, the human will is. I'm a firm believer in the human will and the power of the human will. Once you've strengthened that mental state, you become unstoppable. But yeah, I think that's this video. I know the gameplay and non-gameplay was a little bit split, but I'm just super tired. I've just got back from work and it is literally like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. So, but yeah, like I said before, I really appreciate all the love on the recent videos, especially that first one, man. That it shot up crazy. And I love all the comments. I love all the comments I get. Like, honestly, that's the best part of videos, is seeing comments come in and I reply to them and try and give my 2 cents to these people who maybe need the help, or who are just saying stuff, you know, they're just saying stuff to get off the chest, and I love that. It's so cool. So yeah, if you want, leave a comment, you know, I'll always reply to most of them. And I definitely like all of them, so you don't go unseen. But yeah, you know, comment, subscribe, share it to your friends. You know, they might need to hear this. But yeah, man. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one.